Hi everyone, this is Ella Aquarela. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about sketchbooks. I've been really struggling to find the perfect sketchbook for me and for my needs. This has been a frustration that has been around for many years. And finally, I've decided to really think about what are those characteristics that I really value on a sketchbook and try to make my own sketchbook that suits my needs. Especially when I'm outdoor sketching or I'm traveling. I love to take sketchbooks with me when I travel, and I might just travel in a few weeks. We'll see how the COVID situation is doing, but I would like to create a sketchbook for that trip, and that's basically a trip to visit my family. So I decided to take out a lot of my sketchbooks that I have and look at all the things that make them unique or that I value, and then try to put those together in a sketchbook, and I have an idea of how to do that. So there are a few things that I really value on sketchbooks. One of them is the size. The type of paper is another one. The binding and the flexibility that it provides. And when I say flexibility, I mean, am I able to rip out the pages without messing up other pages or ruining other artwork? Can I frame it if I like what actually came out of my sketch or my painting? Or is it stuck in the sketchbook forever? So I looked at some of the sketchbooks that I have, and in terms of size, this is the sketchbook that I find the most comfortable for me to use when I'm traveling. It's a 5.5 inch by 8.5 inch Strathmore Vision mixed media sketchbook. I love this size, and I also love the binding because it's a spiral binding, and I can actually, move the pages around, fold it on itself, and it creates a really sturdy surface for me to paint or draw in. It's not too big, it's not too small. I can put it in my bag, I can put it in my backpack, and it has quite a bit of pages too. So it lasts a long time. It takes watercolor decently okay, but it is mixed media paper. I don't like the paper of the sketchbook. So I would like a sketchbook that's about this size with some sort of ring binding, but different paper. Can I rip out the pages? Yes, it has like little perforations here. So I could rip them out and I guess frame them if I wanted to. So that's definitely a plus. This Canson Von Ball watercolor sketchbook is a beautiful sketchbook. I really love the black cover. And the paper, it is 140-pound watercolor paper. It's not mixed media paper, which is great, but it's not 100% cotton paper. It's wood pulp paper. And for those of you who have been painting watercolor for a while, you know that wood pulp paper, it's okay, but it has its shortcomings. So it can be frustrating at times. So if I'm traveling and I want to paint and just really enjoy what I'm doing, I might want different types of paper. So definitely this is too big and not the right kind of paper. There's also paper pads. So you can technically take a paper pad with you when traveling. This is an Arches paper pad. This is a Canson XL paper pad, about the same size, 9 inch by 12 inch. It's actually the same size as the Montval sketchbook. It is too big for me, and the fact that it's a pad and you have to take out the pages, then it creates a problem because I have a lot of loose paper everywhere and I lose them or they get damaged. Sometimes I cut the paper into smaller pieces and then I have little pieces everywhere, so it's not ideal. But I love this paper. So I would like a sketchbook with these dimensions, ring binding, but this paper mainly. Now, there are other papers that I have here, like Canson XL. I would take this when I'm traveling and stuff if I don't want to waste all my good paper, but this is mostly for practice things and not for final works because it is wood pulp. The Moleskine sketch album, it's actually really great size. I really like the size. It does not take watercolor well. It's great for pencil and maybe pastels, like oil pastels. But the problem is that when you use watercolor or ink. This is ink and wash. I don't know if you can tell. I put water here and it started creating little dots. That's basically where the paper started soaking up the ink in weird places. So it's not great for ink or watercolor. So definitely can't use this. I have used a watercolor version of the Moleskine sketchbooks, which is great. It's good, but it's wood pulp paper too. It's not 100% cotton. So one of the sketchbooks that I like the most that I've been using lately is this Paul Rubens hot press 100% cotton sketchbook. It is amazing paper. This paper is just great paper. It is super absorbent. I really love it. I love how vibrant the paintings come out. I really like it. Now, this is hot press and it's fine. I can use hot press, but I rather have cold press paper. I enjoy using cold press paper more. I would like my sketchbook to have cold press paper, and this sketchbook is just a tiny little bit too small, especially if I'm traveling for long periods of time. All right, before I create my sketchbook and I decide on the paper, I'm going to show you what I'm going to use for the binding. I'm going to use this hole punch. It's by Create 365, the Happy Planner. It's a paper punch that creates holes to fit these discs. So you might have seen this in some office supply stores or your craft stores where you take, this is a scrap piece of paper. You make these hole punches that fit the rings perfectly. And then you can basically bind any paper you want with these rings. It provides the flexibility of having basically like a ring binding type of situation. So I think this is great. It provides flexibility because I can take the pages out, move them around. So I'll show you what this looks like. So it's basically a hole punch, but the holes are actually, instead of being a 3-hole punch, you know, the typical one, it has 9 holes and it fits a small size paper, which is about the size that I want my sketchbook to be. So if we look at this sketchbook, which is the size that I want it to be, this hole punch would fit perfectly this size. They have a bigger one, which has 11 holes, which would be better for bigger paper. So you put your paper in here and you press it, and then you get basically the holes that you need. And you can put a few sheets together, put the rings, and then you basically have yourself a sketchbook that's bound. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to select the types of paper that I'm going to put in my sketchbook. So these are the papers that I've selected. I'm going to use definitely Arches watercolor paper. I'm going to use about 6 sheets, 9 by 12. I'm going to cut them in half, and I'm going to have 12 sheets at the end. I'm going to use some cardstock of different colors. So I have black, I have beige, I have brown, and I have gray. I feel like this would be great to have in my sketchbook for colored pencils or oil pastel, maybe metallic pencils or metallic watercolors. I'm going to also use some Bristol paper. So Bristol paper is actually great for colored pencils, pen and ink, and markers. So I want to have some of that just in case. And on top of that, I'm going to scatter some really cheap sketch paper. This is from the dollar store. This is really thin sketching paper. It has a bit of texture to it, but it's good for pencil sketches. And I think I could use that before I go into my watercolor paper. It would be nice to have a piece of like cheaper sketch paper where I can do a pencil sketch before I actually paint on my nice paper. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these in half, and then I'm going to stagger them before I make the holes. Now, I don't have an actual like guillotine or anything like that, and I actually liked frayed edges. I think they look nice. So what I'm literally going to do is I'm going to take one piece of paper at a time, and I'm going to fold it in half. I'm using a little butter knife here. to make that really tight. Then I'm just gonna literally just rip the paper in half. There you go. That's what I'm gonna do with all the different papers that I selected. Okay, I have all my paper cut to size. Now I'm gonna make the holes. What I wanna do is I wanna make sure that the frayed edges are all facing the same way. You see how those frayed edges are there? I like those frayed edges. I think I'm gonna put the frayed edges facing the outside, and I'm gonna make the holes on the clean side. The hole punch carefully, so right there. And I'm gonna line it up just to make sure it's in the middle. And I'm just gonna press, and there we go. So I'm gonna do that with every piece of paper here. All right, so I made holes on all my papers and I stacked them. So I have a piece of regular sketch paper, then a piece of Arches watercolor paper, then another piece of sketch paper, then another piece of Arches. That way, before I paint on my Arches, I can do thumbnail sketch on one side and then do the painting on the other side, or it just serves to protect any paintings or sketches that I do as well from each other. After the Arches paper, I put the cardstock paper, like all the different colors of cardstock. I have here the black, the beige, the brown, and then I put my Bristol paper on the back. So that's how I'm gonna stack or stagger my papers. I don't know how you call that. That's how I'm gonna stack my papers. And it's gonna be a pretty good size sketchbook. It's thick, but it's not too thick. Really love it. Now I need a couple of covers for this sketchbook. What I thought would be a neat idea to kind of recycle used materials is to use some scrap paper. So I have some scrap paper from like just testings and tests that I was doing, and I thought they kind of look cool, and they're like 140-pound watercolor paper. So I thought I would put one on one side and one on the other, and that could be the cover of my sketchbook. It's very unique, and you're kind of reusing some materials that you would otherwise basically throw away. So now that I have all my pages stacked together, now I just need to put them all in the ring and put the rings around everything. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll show you what the final result looks like. All right, here's my finished sketchbook. I am so happy with this. I am so excited to use this sketchbook. What I did was, with this scrap paper, I decided to just put more paint on it to cover the entire thing and just make it look a bit more put together, and it looks very painterly and very creative, so I love it. I have my different selection of paper here, different colors and textures, and I actually added a back cover in this kind of cardboard. So I basically took the back of one of my sketch pads, so one of these like cheap sketch pads, the back is, you know, comes with this board. So I had a pad that I ran out already of paper, and I had the board laying around, so I made a back cover with this. I feel like it's a little sturdier than the watercolor paper, and I'm super happy with how this turned out. I'm definitely going to be using this a lot, because I know I'm going to gravitate towards it because of the paper that I put in, and because I have the rings, and I can basically fold it on itself, and it's going to be very comfortable to take with me and travel and just, you know, be creative with it. I can take out pages, I can reposition them, I can, if I like something, I can frame it and take it out and frame it. So I'm very excited about it. I'm gonna sign it just because I feel like it's gonna be my sketchbook. There we go. So I'm definitely gonna be using this a lot. I hope you got some ideas from this video. I'm so excited to try this. I've never tried this kind of rings before. I hope that you got inspired to maybe try to make your own sketchbook in a very easy way. No need to stitch or to know in book binding or anything like that. And it's also quite affordable. The main cost of this was the hole punch and the rings, but I got them on sale, so it was actually cheaper than most sketchbooks. I got the hole punch for $14.99 and the rings for $2.50 US. So that's like not that much. Most sketchbooks of this size and this quality of paper will cost you upwards of $20. And the paper that I put in here definitely obviously costs money, but it's paper that I already had that I was gonna already use. I just didn't have it in sketchbook format. So now I do, and I'm excited to try it. All right, well, I probably will post a video later, maybe a few months from now, once I've used this. And all right, here's my finished sketchbook. I'm so excited. I took the top page and I decided to put more paint on it just to make it look a bit cleaner and more, you know, painterly and put together. And then I signed it with my name, so I'm really excited about that. It's personalized, and I just love how it turned out. I love these colors. Actually, this is scrap paper that I used when I was creating the new opening for my channel that you'll see in my videos. So it's actually very fitting that I'm using the scrap paper on this sketchbook. And on the back, I actually decided to put some paperboard just to make it a little sturdier. So I basically took one of my old paper pads and that I had laying around that I had used up, and I used the back of that and just cut it to size and used it like that. So now it's very sturdy. I can fold it on itself. I can pick different types of paper, of colors, of textures, and I'm super excited to start using this. I'm curious to see how well this will hold up. I've never used these types of rings and hole punch, so I'm really curious to see with time as I use it if things are gonna start falling out or not. So I might post just my thoughts after a few months of using this. So if you wanna actually see those, then you might want to subscribe to my channel so you get notified of future videos. Or if you've seen this months from now and I have already posted that video, you can go to my channel and look it up. Super excited to use this. Wasn't very expensive. Based on the extra materials that I bought, I already had the paper, and it was paper that I was going to use. I just didn't have it in a sketchbook format, so I didn't really spend extra money on the paper. I spent extra money on the hole punch and the rings. The hole punch was $14.99. The rings were $2.50 US. So it's basically not that much. I can make tons of sketchbooks with this. And once I use it up, you know, I can keep the pages I like and just discard the ones that I don't. And I can, you know, add and remove. So definitely something that I'm going to be using for a long, long time. All right, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I hope you got some ideas that you can use in your own creative journey. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe below so you get notified, and go to my channel to check out other videos I have posted. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.